Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're returning. My name is Nayim. I am your host, and this is episode 7 of Q&A. Thank you to my ferocious fleet for holding it down and understanding my hiatus. And this is why I had to come back and give y'all this before we get into our regularly scheduled stuff that we do over here. Because this is what the music industry is not going to tell you. This is the side of the music industry that has not been explained to artists. They're not going to take the time out to explain it, and they do not care to explain it. So I got to give it to you because you've probably already been through this. But when this comes up, and it's going to 100% come up, I want you to know how to navigate and process the grief that is going to bestow your life when it is your number that is called to deal with this situation. Today, I'm going to walk you through the life cycle of Lil Loaded, and we're going to take those main takeaways from the beginning to the bitter end of what happened with Lil Loaded, breaking it all down and really explaining to you how this could have been prevented and what you can do to make sure you come out on the other side of when bad things happen to you. The first thing I got to explain to you is you are trying to be an artist. You're trying to do something that has to do with music. Music is the only career you're going to have out here where nobody's going to give you any type of grace. Nobody's going to give you any type of understanding. Nobody is going to afford you the luxury of even really wanting to hear you out when it comes to especially starting your music career. And the further along you get into your music career, the more difficult it is to handle things because all these new things that you've never been through, that you thought that the people around you would be able to understand and they would be there rooting for you and holding you down and cheering for you. They're not going to be there for that. Most of them are not going to. There's only going to be a select few of people who really understand how to deal with the musician. Because you got to understand, you're not selling cookies, you're not selling cakes, you're not opening up a restaurant, you don't have a food truck, you're not selling drones, you're not a part of any type of sports organization, you probably don't even really play a sport. That's why you're doing music. You're not selling skincare, you're not selling soap, you're not doing things where people can just blindly put their trust in you and root for you, and there's no consequence to that. Because, see, being a musician, you have to have some type of arrogance to you. You have to have some type of bravado to you, even if you're making the saddest, most ridiculous music there is to make. So nobody's going to hear you out or have any type of understanding for that. When I say nobody, I don't mean 0%. I'm saying the majority of people are not going to, again, afford you that luxury of really even caring about what you got going on. And that is really the first part of understanding what it is to walk into some grief. Because, see, when you make a decision to be a musician, it's not like being a doctor. It's not like doing any of these other professions. When you make a decision to be a musician, you understand that there's going to be struggle, and you're, like Frederick Douglass said, there ain't going to be no progress without no struggle. And you're going to do a lot of struggling before you even get to being able to have any type of success, let alone if you actually are able to get the success that you want. So let's start off with what grief is. Grief is defined as a noun, deep sorrow, usually, caused by someone's death. And I saw another definition I really like that said, met with disaster, and some synonyms to that would be obviously sorrow, misery, sadness, anguish, pain, distress, agony, torment, affliction, suffering, heartache, heartbreak, etc., etc. When you walk into your music career and you say, this is what I want to do, this is the path that I'm deliberately trying to walk down, and I'm trying to make it. And especially if you're dealing with frustrations of you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, you don't know what you need to do, you're not educated about music business, let alone really knowing how to be an artist. You got to understand that your personal life and your music career, they have to be separate. People like to say that, you should just pour into this. You should just do this. You should just keep going and running 100 miles per hour and just make everything so personable. But you got to understand that you can make your music as personable as you like. But when it comes to your career and your business and stuff, you got to make sure that you're putting that off to you have to put these two things in two separate categories, because your career is going to demand you in places that your personal life will not allow you to show up. Your personal life is going to need you where your music career does not, you know, they don't, it's mixing iron and clay. It's not going to go to, it's not supposed to go together. It's not supposed to mix. And people will tell you, you know, these are some of my favorite phrases when we talk about these kind of things. And this is before you even get to the part of being able to navigate and process the grief. Our very good friend, very high ranking fleet member, Katrina Gibbs, says death to the bad culture. And I love that saying, because people will automatically go to chasing the bag. If you sad, make the music. If you sad, go to the studio. If you confused, if you angry, because sadness is not the only thing that you're going to be grieving in your music career. There's stages and everything, and I probably should have looked up the stages, but there's things that you're going to be going through: confusion, betrayal, all these things that you're going to have to navigate, process, and get through to in order to get over them and be able to continue to go. But people will say, forget all that, go over there and make a song about it, and that'll make you feel better. I'm here to tell you that that is not true. They have lied to you about how you should be navigating this stuff. You know, my grandma passed away in January, the end of January. Her funeral was in February. Then I lost my friend, Dr. Danielle Archer, who I've mentioned before when it comes to therapy and, you know, mental health in the music business. And then I literally last week just lost my cousin, and he was sick as well. All three of these people passed away from being sick. And it's like, I'm gonna be for real with you. There's nothing I really have learned to enjoy more from coming from behind the scenes than coming in front of this camera and getting to know y'all and kicking it with y'all and supporting what y'all do. And we all just get up here and we have a good time and we ride together and we fight together and we love on each other. You know, I love getting up here and giving y'all the real and us joking with each other. You know, I love this. I really love this. But after my grandma passed away, literally the end of January, it was like, I don't want to do anything anymore. I'm not interested in doing no music. I'm not interested in doing no videos. I don't want to really go to work or work on business or nothing. You know, I don't want to do anything. And where music is today, people would tell you that, oh, you just can't just stop where you are and try to get yourself together and process. And I'm gonna be for real. You know, I hate the word privilege, but it is a privilege for me to be able to stop what I'm doing and just process and go through what I'm going through and being like, you know what, I don't feel like doing this today. I can't do this today. I don't know where I'm going, because that is literally the worst thing that has ever happened to me, is losing my grandma. Because my grandma, that's grandma, you know, she was there. She was there from the time when I was 12, when my daddy died, and she really stepped into those shoes, like talking about this, as well as one of my other aunts. But losing my grandma forced me to say, I am not going to do anything but try to get myself to the point where I even feel good enough to come and talk and be able to have, you know, comprehensive thoughts, because that's the only thing that's on my mind. The same thing with dealing with that, then a friend passing away from having cancer, you know, like that screwed my mind up, because me and Doc Archer, we talked all the time, and she dedicated her life to serving entertainers and dedicated her life to really serving people and going through she had cancer and passed away, waking up every day, not making no excuses and going hard and doing all of that, as well as leading with love and leading with light and letting you know that it is okay to take a break. It's okay to love yourself. And then last week, losing my cousin, 30 years old, to sickle cell, it's like, bro, I can't take too much more. But because I was already processing and already going through these things, and this is coming from a person with a successful music career. Any grocery store, any hardware store, anywhere you go, you're gonna see something that I've been a part of. The gas station or whatever. I might not get up here and talk about all that, because there's things that are more important than throwing your success in the front as a mask of what you're going through. And this is why we're going to walk through this life cycle of Lil Loaded. And I wanted to share that because I decided that I was going to stop what I was doing and get my mind together in order to be able to come back and we give you these lessons and give you these discussions and have these things and be able to go forward with our lives. The first thing with Lil Loaded is Lil Loaded semi blew up. And the reason that Lil Loaded really he blew up, he didn't go as big as he could have, but he went big, especially in compared to what most people do. Lil Loaded blew up because somebody had a YouTube channel that was like, we're gonna look at videos and react to videos that don't get views. So his video didn't have any views, but it was a hot song, and I think the song was Block Baby. And when that person, because I don't remember the dude's name, but when the channel that reviewed his video, he was like, oh yeah, this is actually kind of hard. This junk good. That's when everybody decided they want to jump on the Lil Loaded train. The first part of, and this was outside of Texas, because Lil Loaded, I believe, is from Dallas. Or Dallas or Fort Worth area, that area. Grief was already set into Lil Loaded before he blew up. You want to know why? Because some of the biggest platforms in hip-hop music, even though Lil Loaded was just pretty much, he had music and stuff, but he was just pretty much starting his career. You got to think about, if you got to go out of town to blow up, or somebody from out of town got to blow you up, or you just happen to blow up and you're not getting love from where you are, that's going to take a psychological toll on you that people are not going to tell you about, because it's like, I can go anywhere I want to and get love. I can go anywhere I want to and get support. I can go anywhere and do anything. But when I come home, I'm hated. When I come home, I'm ignored. When I come home, nobody care about me. And I really can say I'm 99% sure that's the same thing when he was doing his music. You know, he had his homeboys that believed in him. They just out there, smoking and shooting the music video and doing all of that. But I can guarantee you there's more people that did not believe in Lil Loaded than it was people that believed in him. And the only reason he even really ended up on Vlad and Say Cheese is because he had to blow up so big instead of people. I don't count Vlad for that, but like people for like what Say Cheese used to be, plucking people, going and actually doing real A&R work instead of waiting for the artist to do all the work and blowing up. But Grief was already a part of this process when he semi blew up, and then it's like, now I'm getting recognition from home, but I had to leave home in order to be big, because Loaded was big everywhere except where he was from. So that is the first thing. The first stage of grief that you're probably going to deal with in your music career is going to be the one that is 100% inevitable, because like I said, you're not going to be afforded any type of grace. Music is either you're successful or you're not. That's how people look at it. You don't get to be halfway in the middle or have a little bit. It's either you winning or you're not winning. Point blank, period. Even though we know that's not true, but this is how the world is going to perceive it and the world is going to look at you. The next thing and the next point, which is the turning point of Lil Loaded's career, because he never really got to be who he was supposed to be. He accidentally shoots and kills his friend. This is the point of his music career where everybody should have said, stop what you're doing, stop everything that's going on. We're not worried about no career, we're not worried about no music, we're not worried about no album. We got to get your mind together, because now you have slipped into mental illness. I don't even think he had got charged or processed, because he liquidated himself, and that's going to be our new word, liquidated. He liquidated himself before he was able to, even go to trial or anything like that. But the moment that he accidentally took his friend's life, and this is why we have the Always Carry Our Guns Club, where we're going to teach you, safe firearm handling and how to properly use your tools, and being just anything that's got to do with firearms and safety and proper handling and all of that stuff. This is why we have sections of what we do. This is why I like to be around people and link up with people that do things differently than just this music stuff, because everything that we have in our culture matters. Every piece of this puzzle matters because you're not just waking up in the morning and going to the studio. You waking up in the morning, going to the studio, you got your 40 on you, you got your cameraman, you waving the gun, and boom, you in somebody's life. Like I always reference my video about self-defense, even though that wasn't a self-defense situation, I mentioned in the video where you're going to go through. See, people casually get on these songs and speak about taking life. They casually say it like it's going to the dryer and pulling out some socks or changing your sheets or putting gas in your car. This is how people talk about murder in this culture. And even if it's an accidental murder, not knowing that the second that you take life, unless you are a pure sociopath, there's a chemical reaction that's going on in your mind and your body where you're going to immediately slip into mental illness, because it is not natural for people to take the life of another human being. I don't care, killing a chicken or killing whatever. It's really not even normal to take the life of a pet. And we see what happens to those people who they take the lives of their pets, and that's not enough for them. Like, killing frogs in the bayou, that ain't enough for them after a little while. So they start killing cats and dogs and birds, and then they move to prostitutes and people, and then they kill their mama. It's not the natural processes of your brain to be able to process the fact that you just took life. So the second that he accidentally took his friend's life is when everything should have got shut down. But because he's from a situation, and most of us are from situations where people don't talk about these things, they don't know how to process these things, they've never been through any of these type of things, they, even if they did know, but they more than likely did not know what the next step was going to be. The most that Lil Loaded was probably given was pray about it. And I'm sorry to say, but God didn't put us all here on this planet for you to just fall on your knees and ask him. Faith without work is dead. You got to go out there, and this is the point where somebody should have dragged him kicking and screaming. I know that we said we can't force people to do stuff, but certain situations we have to force our people to get help. Because not only did you kill somebody, but you killed your best friend. It was an accident, and nobody around you seems to understand that going to the studio and talking about it's not going to help. Making a depressing song about it's not going to help. Sitting around in your sorrow and your pity for too long is not going to help, because the idle mind is the devil's playground. You don't leave those type of people alone. And because when he took his friend's life and nobody forced him to get help, the second thing they probably did was just feed his habits. So now, not only is he in a state of psychosis, in a state of mental illness, but his habits are being fed. He has some type of drug issue, because those type of things don't happen without you having to be in some type of sedated state. So you coming from situations where life is already hard, life is already screwed up, whatever drug problem you had was already amplified, or you've moved up the schedule list. So they're telling him to go rap, they're telling him to go and do everything except get the proper help that he needed. And this is why I don't listen to rappers, because they're liars. Because I think the funniest thing is getting online and parading how much money you got. And I saw this on Keep It G News. Queso putting your dead cousin in the microwave, rapping about killing, and I'm the killer, and I'm the hired guy, and I'm this and I'm that. But you go to court and you tell the judge you don't even have $1,000 in the bank. And the $1,000 that you had, you spend it on commissary and phone calls. This is why I don't listen to rappers. I don't care who you think you are. You got to really show and prove. Because I will tell you this, people say that money cannot buy happiness, but money can fix problems that make you unhappy. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. And this is what I'm going through now. I'm going through getting the proper help, processing the way that I'm supposed to process, so I don't slip and fall into a psychosis type of state where I can't tell what's real and what's not real anymore. And this is what happened with Lil Loaded. Because they fed his habits, because They told him that you just need to keep rapping, put your pain in your music, bro. You know, all that goof. That's goof troop behavior. None of that stuff works. You need to take the resources you have or find somebody with some type of resources that can help you get your mind together. Because if your mind is not together, you're not going to be there. The thing that happened after that is the people around him ignoring this pain and thinking that this was going to go away because of whatever street persona a person is giving you. Again, this is why I don't, I take things with a grain of salt when people is opening their mouth talking, because they don't know anything about this music thing. Just because you a fan, that don't mean you joined the band. This is why I don't, you don't get to just, you can say what you want to say, but when you come over here, there's a standard. It's not going to be no everybody get to talk and everybody get to running their mouth. We listen to people who know what they're talking about. We listen to people who can back up what they're talking about. And we also listen to people who don't lie about their life. Because no matter how tough you think you are, how real you think you are, put yourself on whatever pedestal you think you are, everybody has some type of limit. And people who do not have limit are literal psychopaths, and they get clipped before they get to cause so much damage that the world can't recover from it. Even if they do cause a bunch of damage, people can still bounce and recover from that. Everybody around him ignored his pain because he was the meal ticket out. He was going to make it. He was going to be the person to do this and do that. And this is where external people come in, because remember, he had that girlfriend. And because everything that I just mentioned, how nobody in your town was supporting you until you blew, and now you don't really need your town no more, but it's good to have. People, you accidentally kill your friend. You're not getting proper help. People are feeding your habits. People ain't thinking it is as serious as it is. You have this girlfriend. She's making things harder instead of being what a proper helpmate is supposed to be, and forcing you to get the help that you need, dragging you kicking and screaming, because if they love you, they'll throw you in the back of the trunk and you don't have no choice but to go to that rehab. You don't have no choice but to get that therapy. You don't have no choice but to see that psychiatrist. You don't have no choice but to get on that medication. And people like to downplay what medication is. I said this once before, man, we know y'all crazy, bro. If you need to be chemically balanced and that's going to take a round of therapeutics, then you need to do that. Because if you don't do that, you end up in a situation where everything is weighing on you so bad, and that devil done took over you so bad that there's no way that you're going to be able to come back and return from it. And this is exactly what happened with Lil Loaded. Everything with the career, everything with the friend, everything with the girlfriend, he turned his own lights out. He liquidated himself. And people came and they was blaming the girlfriend. And this is what I was just about to say about being in these people's lives. You got to notice these signs and know what these people is going through. No, you don't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Really, you don't put a Band-Aid on a hole that a cannon just went through. You can't do that. You got to get this person help, and you got to get this person help now if you claim you care. Because again, being a real musician, that's going to always be in you. You're going to always be able to create. We have teams to help us get to where we want to be, but being that creative, that's that thing that our team only enhances our creativity. That was going to be there when he came out, and that could have been his testimony. Unfortunately, people around him did not take it serious because chasing the bag, ignoring the pain, it's going to be okay. Give him a perk, give him a whatever give him some lean, give him a blunt, he'll be okay. Oh, the trial coming up, and then they'll blame her and they'll blame everything else, but blaming themselves for not taking this as serious as it is. These are the most serious things. And when you lose people, it just changes you. Especially when you lose people that you care about, especially knowing that it's your fault that they're dead because you didn't properly handle the firearm, which you shouldn't have had a loaded firearm on the set or allow anybody to be the person that passed away, allowing the gun to be waved, but you just think, oh, whatever. You pull an Alec Baldwin, that's that. Now your mind is screwed up, and then your relationship's not going well, and then you post your liquidation note, and then you're out of here. And then everybody's feeling sorry for you when it's too late to feel sorry for you because nobody around you cared to get you any help. So now it's just long live loaded when it shouldn't be that way because the people around him should have stopped the complete operation and got him the help he needed. And this is what I needed to share with you today, that you're going to go through a lot of different types of grief in your life. You're not just going to go through the grief of losing relatives and losing friends. You might actually have to grieve somebody, and I'm talking about losing like the end of their life. You're going to have to grieve people that are still walking this earth, because you might be in a situation where your friendship died because you decided that you want to pursue a music career and they don't want to support you. And when you hear people talk about, oh, your friends don't have to be your audience and stuff, they got that from over here. They got that from those of us in the nation, those of us in the fleet, those of us in the ACOD. They didn't get that from nowhere else. They got that from us. They can't explain to you what that means, though. If you're my friend, why wouldn't you be supporting what I got going on? I don't care if you like it or not, bro. I got homegirls that sell purses, sell draws, sell all type of stuff. You ain't never seen me with no purse, for real. Like, you ain't never seen me with no purse, but I will support that. You want to know why? Because I know what it's like to have a dream and everybody look at you crazy and not support that. And I want you to know that if I am really on your side and I'm with you and we got a relationship, I'm going to support it. I don't care if I don't like it. That's nobody's business. It doesn't matter. I have no use for a lot of the things that people do, but I'm going to support that because I know what it is like to not have that. You're going to end up in situations where you're going to be grieving broken dreams. Somebody lied to you about a process that you will be having to go through. Somebody lied to you and told you, well, you've got to wait 10 years before you receive any type of success from what you're doing. You're going to have to wait XYZ amount of time before you can get anything positive come out of this. You got to wait your turn. You got to go through all of this. You're going to be grieving that because you jumped in this thing. You had your own mindset about this just for somebody to thwart where you were trying to go or completely crash and burn where you was going. You're going to have to grieve that. You're going to have to grieve your relationships changing because you are steadfast and going in the direction that you want to go with what you're doing. And people are not going to understand it. Because this is the profession where when you get success, everything around you changes. Everybody around you changes. You might have to really deal with the fact that you wake up every single day beside your biggest hater. And you don't know what to do because you love that girl to death. You love that man to death. But you notice that when you try to accomplish something, they ain't nowhere to be found. You notice that when you get something good and something actually is coming through and the wheels is spinning in the direction they supposed to, ain't no enthusiasm from them. They'll say happy birthday to little baby, but they don't say nothing or post nothing that you do. You know, they go for your friends too. They'll do all type. You're going to be grieving that. That's the death and the end of the life cycle of that relationship. And you're going to have to wake up that day and decide like, wow, I'm going to really have to leave this person that I love, that I'm doing all of this for us. I'm doing all this for my family. I'm doing this for my friends, my crew. I'm doing this for us. But these people really don't believe that. You're going to have to grieve that. You're going to have to grieve the fact that everybody loved you and was showing you that love and that support. But when it was time to, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing it the right way. I'm doing it righteous. These people ain't going to be nowhere to be found. These people is not going to post it up. These people, and these will be the same people that get up here and tell you, we got to stop the violence, man. But then they'll go right around and promote the violence. So you're going to grieve different type of things. You're going to grieve disappointing yourself. You're going to have to learn to navigate that. Not keeping promises to yourself. There's all type of things that you're going to have to get through and understand that you need to, as my girlfriend, the greatest therapist in Virginia, really in the United States, to me, but according to the community, the same thing. Be kind to your mind. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like it is perfectly okay, you know. getting into your lane, getting into your bag, showing your self-respect, showing your self-love. And I will offer this from me. You don't put your confidence in other people's hands. You don't put your mental health and all of these things in other people's hands. And that ain't to say to be cold. That's to say to be able to know yourself and to be able to recognize when you're not feeling like yourself, you're not doing what you need to do. And that is going to be the difference between being able to take that break and say, you know what, I'm going to take a break. You know what, I'm going to walk away. You know what, I just need some time to myself to get myself together. Because people will get up here and they'll throw it out like, oh man, this is all, people like the, when Jay-Z came out and said he ain't right, nobody was writing after that. You know, that might not be the case for you. You really might need a comprehensive list to sit down and have your bullet points to make sure you cover, because what you're doing is more serious than what somebody else is doing. What you have is more valuable, and you don't want to skip on the value or the quality of what you're doing based on what other people feel like should be going on with what you got to go on. Don't let people pressure you. Don't let people rush you. You get through things how you need to get through things. And this is the result of being real. When you're a real person and people know that you're a real person, because a lot of times in music, once you have success, people start looking at you like you untouchable, you're a superstar. They start formulating things in their mind about you. And that's what happened with Lil Loaded. They start people don't have to come out and say it, but I've been around here long enough. I know. People started formulating things in their mind about him where, oh, he don't need no help. He a rapper. He popping. He got 1 million views. He good. Like that means something. We still human beings at the end of the day. Don't ever lose your humanity. Never walk away from your humanity. Because the minute that you stop being perceived as a human being is the minute that people objectify you, and objectification is just a step before murder. I'll see y'all next time.